This scroll-based grid rotation concept by Austin Malerba is phenomenal. Let's have a look at how to build it in Webflow. It's actually not as hard as you might think.
Hey there, Web-Bay.
All right, let's start with a pretty blank project here. We've got page wrap, which has no styles actually on it at all. Within that, we're going to put our container class. This is, of course, to center everything. We give it a width of 100%, a max width of 62 rem, and margin left and margin right set to auto. 62 rem is pretty convenient for this project because 62 times 16 equals 992, which, as you may know, is the max breakpoint for our tablet here. Under container, we want to add our scroll track. This is going to be a height of 300 viewport heights with a position of relative, and we're going to stick a sticky div inside this, which sticks to the top. Now, our sticky div is called scroll div. This gets a flex vertical center because we want everything in here to be centered with a min height of 100 viewport heights. So this is going to be the whole height of the screen, and then position sticky with top of 0. Next, we'll define our grid. This is the tricky one. With grid, we have a couple things going on here. The very first thing is that we're going 9 columns by 9 rows. Now, each column we want to give a width of 10%, and all the rows we want to give 1 fractional unit. And then we'll give a gap of 8 pixels on either side. The grid is going to stretch, and we're going to distribute here in the center. We're going to set the width to 100%, so it takes up 100% the width of its parent, scroll div, of course. And then height we're going to set to vmin. Vmin is crucial here. Do not sleep on vmin. What vmin does for us is it takes the minimum of viewport width versus viewport height and sets that as our height. So in the case of a landscape like a laptop right here, we have minimum is going to be height. The laptop screen height is going to be the minimum width. And then you can't see anything here. If I go ahead and throw in a div block, and let's color this thing red. Okay, so we can see now this red grid, the maximum width it's going to get is actually going to be 100 viewport heights. So we have a perfect square. And as we shrink this down, at some point, okay, now v width is smaller than viewport heights, so our square is going to shrink and it's going to maintain its aspect ratio. This is going to be crucial for making our grid responsive. Let's get rid of that red color and that div block. And let's make sure we didn't miss anything on grid. Nope. Okay, now within our grid, we want to start placing our blocks. Each block is going to be a wrapper around our video. Now block, the main thing going on here is that we set the position to manual. And then within that we have a column start, column end, row start, and row end. And these are going to define where on our grid our videos show up. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to set overflow to hidden, position to relative because the video inside this is going to be position absolute. And then we're going to set our border radius to 2 viewport widths. Last thing we need to do is add our video within the block. And the video, we're set to position absolute, we'll set it to full, and then we'll set width to 100% and height to 100%. The Webflow background video by default actually has object fit set to cover, so we don't even need to set that here. It's just going to take care of it by itself. With that out of the way, we pretty much have the basic structure of our interaction. The next thing we need to do is add the rest of our videos. So I'll go through that and not make you wait to see it. The only thing we're going to change for each block is the column start, column end, row start, and row end. So here we go. We've got all our videos in now. The next thing we want to do is we'll just drop a container with 100 viewport heights down here and a header so that we have something to scroll down to. Let's go ahead and start designing our interaction. The interaction is going to be placed on scroll track. So let's go to our interactions pane and add a trigger, and we're going to add while scrolling in view. The action, we want to play a scroll animation. Let's go ahead and define our scroll animation. We'll call this grid rotation. There's only 3 things that we're going to animate here. We're going to rotate the grid. So at 0%, we want to set our rotation in the Z, set it to 0, and then at 100%, we will set it to 360 degrees. So we'll get 1 full rotation out of this thing. And then we're going to counteract the rotation of the whole grid on each video. So video, rotate, we'll start at 0 degrees, and we'll end our rotation at negative 360 degrees. Notice this is on class right here. This is important. We want this to affect every video, right? So just make sure that that's not on selected element or something else. The last thing we want to do is there's a nice little scale effect going on to the whole grid. So we'll go ahead and grab the grid, apply a scale, and we'll start from a scale of 1, and we'll go to a scale of 1.5. Go ahead and save that. And now, you notice as soon as I preview, there's a couple things going wrong here. The very first thing is actually with our HTML setup. if we select video and we come down here, if I scroll, you can see that there's kind of some cutting off going on here because we have overflow set to hidden on our block. I can make this even more visible by setting the color to red. And let's go back to preview. And we can see that this red color is where the video is getting chopped off because it's setting the video width and height or dimensions to the original aspect that it renders at. So one little trick we can do to get around that is take this video class, set the width to something like 200% and the height to something like 200%. Now it's a little bit off center, so let's correct that with a negative 50% value on the left and a negative 50% value on the top. Now when we scroll, notice we aren't seeing any of that red, so that's great. Depending on the aspect ratio and the dimensions of your video, you may need to adjust this a little bit. Let's go ahead and remove that red color. And let's get back to our interaction. Back in the interaction, we set our animation boundaries to when the element starts entering. Let's change that to is fully visible. And now we can see when we preview, everything is aligned right when we start. And as we scroll down, we're getting that nice rotation that we want. Oh, and one little error. I accidentally said negative 260, but we want negative 360. So now if we watch our interaction, we should see everything is looking just great. Now let's check out some different breakpoints. If we come down to tablet or mobile landscape and we start shrinking this thing, we'll see we're starting to introduce some horizontal scroll, which is definitely not what we want. Normally, the way I like to get around this is on page wrap, I set overflow to hidden, but you'll see that creates a problem and now our sticky positioning is not working. So this is a well-known fact. If you set overflow to hidden on any ancestor with a div that has position sticky, then that position sticky won't be working anymore. A little trick to fix our horizontal scroll problem is to add a line of CSS. So let's go ahead and grab a custom code embed. We'll drop it in there, open some style tags, and close some style tags. And now on the page wrap element, instead of overflow hidden, we're going to take this contain and set it to paint. I honestly have never seen this before, but I discovered it on this project and it's working great. So I'd recommend you check it out as well. Go ahead and save that, reduce our breakpoint, and we can see I'm scrolling left and right and we're not getting any horizontal scroll issues. Now let's go ahead and publish and see how it looks. All right, so we've got our grid and it's looking nice and responsive here. We'll work on mobile as well. We scroll down, it's staying sticky, and then we get to the bottom of our track. It's going away and we're done, and we can now show some cool website content and sell people on all our awesome workout gear. Nobody likes to do this, but if you have a look at this thing in Safari, you'll see our rounded corners have gone away. That is no good. We need another line of CSS to take care of that. Back in Webflow, let's open up our custom embed, and we'll add this line of CSS to our block class. It's going to be WebKit Mask Image, WebKit Radial Gradient, White, Black. So this is setting some sort of masking effect on our block class so that we get the rounded corners that we want. Let's go ahead and publish this. Come back into Safari and refresh. And now we've got rounded corners in Safari. All right, thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to check out Austin Malerba. He comes up with a lot of cool animations. I don't know the guy, but I just scrolled through his Twitter a bit and he's got some really cool stuff. So be sure to check him out.
Yeah.